I don't know. Maybe. That's what Mr. Nielsen, the Texas Solicitor General, said while struggling to answer hypothetical questions about the Senate bill for legislation, also known as SB 4. The New York Times article from March 20th, titled Appeals Court Considers Reviving Texas Migrant Law Now on Hold, covers more on this Texas immigration law. But first, let's talk about what this law is. SB 4 is a law passed by Texas lawmakers last year in December 2023 to tremendously expand the state's role in enforcing border security. According to the New York Times, this law makes crossing into Texas through the United States-Mexico border without legal documentation a misdemeanor punishable by up to 6 months in jail. SB 4 would also authorize state judges to order deportations, as well as authorize state and local police to detain and arrest people suspected of crossing into the U.S. in Texas from Mexico without legal authorization. We can see how many families would be negatively impacted by this law and the fear they would face, because this would not apply just to migrants on the border, but also to people in Texas cities, miles away, who entered the country without authorization as long as 2-year priors. This law was supposed to go into effect on March 5th of 2024. However, it was put on hold until March 18th due to the many lawsuits being made against it. When March 18th came around, it was put on hold. However, according to the New York Times, the hearing followed a rapid series of back-and-forth court decisions. The next day, Tuesday, March 19th. This included a ruling from the Supreme Court that allowed the law to go into effect for several hours that day. Later that same night, the appeals court panel blocked the law. On Wednesday, March 20th, Mr. Nielsen presented in front of the Fifth Circuit to get SB 4 back on track. However, according to the New York Times, when Judge Richman asked Mr. Nielsen what would happen if a migrant crossed without authorization from Mexico to Arizona and years later went to Texas, could that person be arrested under the law? Mr. Nielsen's response was, I don't know, maybe. After this hearing, the legal experts decided that the law would stay on hold. According to the New York Times, the same panel of judges is set to hear fuller arguments on April 3rd over the constitutionality of the law. Rafi Melkonian, a federal appellate lawyer based in Houston who appears regularly before the Fifth Circuit, said that judging by the arguments on Wednesday, it did not appear that Texas would be on good footing for the April hearing. According to the New York Times, another person who spoke out about this Texas law on Wednesday was President Obrador of Mexico. He called this law draconian, meaning excessively harsh and severe, as well as stating that it was completely dehumanized, and added on that the Mexico government would refuse to accept deportations conducted by Texas officials under law. Based on this article from the New York Times, we can see many people are against SB 4 law. However, there are also people supporting it. What is your opinion on this law? And do you think it will go into effect soon or remain blocked?